In a world of rat and ruin, dear, you're my shelter in the glow. With your Pip-Boy on your wrist.
Welcome back to the Dusty Signal, my little devils. By now, you know to find a comfy seat and settle in. But sugar, tonight, fables become reality. Our boy Nate's on the move again, meeting new people, chasing answers, and, apparently, living a fable I didn't expect. No, years back, somebody passed me a holotape, back when I was brushing up my radioing skills. Some half-finished radio drama, never got picked up, never went anywhere. The pitch was a man, an actor who who walked straight into a super mutant stronghold to teach them culture. Yep, your ears heard that right. Shakespeare, if I remember correctly. I thought it was somebody's idea of a joke. The kind of story you tell around a fire because it's funny, because nobody could be that stupid. Not the kind of story that you tell because it happened. Turns out, the joke was on me. Tonight's tape has our boy walking right into that story, like it's just another Tuesday. Detours, distractions, and one man from the wasteland I genuinely thought was made up. Settle in. Tape 16 is now rolling.
Log 016, November 6th, 2287. I'm at the Hotel Rexford, Goodneighbor. I need to get this down before I sleep. My brain won't stop, and the only thing that ever quiets it is talking through the day. So, I'll start this recording the same way I started today, with a dream. I dreamt I was back in Sanctuary Hills, in my old home, before the bombs. Nora was on the couch watching television, and Shaun started crying. I was at the front door, talking with the Vault-Tec salesman. I told him no, Shaun needed me, and he said it was a matter of utmost urgency. But his voice was wrong, scratchy, raw, like he'd smoked 100 packs a day and chewed razor blades for 200 years. And I couldn't see his face, just a dark smudge where a face should have been. I walked down the hall to Shaun's room, towards his crib, but his room was on fire. He was screaming. I yelled for Nora, for Codsworth. Codsworth was in the kitchen just floating in a circle, repeating, 210 years. I ran to the kitchen to get help, but the faster I ran toward the kitchen, the further away it got. I fell to my knees, and then Nora was right there. She took my hand, lifted me up, and said, "We'll make a new baby." What the fuck? I pulled away. I looked up at her. It wasn't her. It was Piper? I fell out of bed, may have screamed. I honestly don't know. Nick was pounding on the door before I'd fully registered where I was. Told him I was fine. Composed myself. Opened the door. Walked right past him without a word. I didn't have anything to say about it. Still don't. Not really. What the fuck was that? I'll come back to that. Maybe. Tactical now. Trying to be. Spent the day sorting gear and modifying weapons. Added a short barrel to the combat shotgun. More manageable in tight spaces. Checked the 44. Inventoried everything. Ate something. Drank water. Basic maintenance to clear my mind. Then, Nick and I went to see Piper Wright at Public Occurrences. Yep, that Piper. It was late, almost midnight, but she was still at her house, still working. That tracks with everything I'd observed about her so far. She's been investigating the Institute for over a year. Everything she's found, everything she's dug up using nothing but her paper and her contacts and her refusal to let it go, amounts to almost nothing. They don't leave tracks. They don't make mistakes. They just take people. And nobody talks about it because talking about it makes you a target. And despite that, she's still publishing, still pushing, still making noise in a city that would rather she didn't. Nora would have liked her. She has this way about her, the way she moves through a room, the way she argues a point even when the argument isn't going her way, the way she uses words the way I use a weapon, targeted, efficient, no wasted motion. And her eyes. I saw something familiar in her eyes. Or, I thought I did. I'd been running on grief and adrenaline for 16 days. Kellogg's dead. Nora's still gone. And my brain is looking for somewhere familiar to land. Something that feels normal. Something safe. That's all that was. Grief does that. I know that. I've seen it happen to other men after loss. The mind reaches for what it recognizes. That's all it was. Nick cleared his throat. He was looking right at me when I turned in his direction. I felt my face get warm. He's a synth. He doesn't even have a throat to clear. So, yeah. Piper was facing the other way. I gathered myself. We got to work. The memory den. There's a doctor in Goodneighbor, Dr. Amari, who runs a place called the Memory Den. Nick says if we had access to Kellogg's memories, we could find out how to reach the Institute, how to get Shaun back. The problem is, we don't have his brain. I made sure of that. Emptied a magazine of 10mm into his face. I'm thorough, if nothing else. But while I was searching his body, I found some tech. He had enhancements. He was not all human. I don't know. I took them. Not sure why exactly. Call it instinct, call it hoping it would be useful, call it carrying something that might give me answers about my son. One of these enhancements was attached to his head. Well, specifically, his brain. It still has some gray matter with it. Whether that's enough for Dr. Amari to work with, we'll have to find out. I know how that sounds. I'm filing it under necessary. I looked over at Piper. Our eyes met, just for a moment. I could see something. A question maybe. Or maybe something else. Pity, grief, concern. I grabbed Nick's arm and told him to take me to Goodneighbor, and we left. We left Diamond City without another word spoken. But I knew Nick had questions. Hell, I had questions. About 30 minutes into our trip, a distress call came through on my Pip-Boy. Trinity Tower. A man named Rex Goodman, held at the top by super mutants. Nick and I assessed. We were right at the front door of Trinity Church. The detour would be minimal if we decided to help. Someone needed help, so there wasn't much discussion about it. We went in the church to make a plan, but the church was full of super mutants. Of course it was. 4 of them and a giant mutant hound. Last frag grenade took care of 2 instantly. The hound fell through a hole in the floor. The 3rd went down fast. The 4th had a minigun. We dove for cover behind a small wall, and I switched to the 44. Waited for the overheat. Worked his arm and face. He dropped it eventually. Then the hound came back up out of the hole and landed on me. Pinned my arm. Reared back. Nick put his 44 against its head and fired multiple shots. We're getting pretty good at this. Combat, survival, teamwork. We made a quick plan and headed to the tower. This was a rescue mission. At least that's what we hoped it was. Nick brought up the possibility that the recording was just that, and the man was already dead. He said super mutants were not all dumb. He said some of them were pretty smart, and that this would make a nice trap. He was right. This was stupid and reckless. We went in. The tower itself was floor by floor, stairs and elevators. More mutants than I expected on every landing. Nick and I fell into a rhythm, calling reloads, covering each other, moving up. Back to back on the tight stairwells. He catches on fast, faster than most operators I've worked with. Their leader called himself Fist. He was nice enough to introduce himself over the intercom system, telling us we fight like puny humans, that we would die screaming or something like that. I wasn't paying much attention. I had just been through this yesterday. What is it with bad guys taunting me over an intercom system as I make my way through their minions, just to kill them anyway? Fist was on the top floor. Shocker. He was bigger and stronger than the others. But Molotov in the face, followed by two very good shooters emptying 44 rounds into his head, and he went down. Top floor. Rex Goodman in a cage, alive, but not alone. A super mutant named Strong was in that cage with him. Rex had apparently come to teach the super mutants culture. Shakespeare. He came to teach them Shakespeare. Macbeth, specifically. I don't know what to do with that information, so I'm just going to record it for the record and keep moving. We were not expecting to see a super mutant in there with him, though. That's the thing about mission plans. Operational orders, as they were called when I was a soldier and there was an army. They are very thorough and take time, sometimes weeks or months to create. When creating an op order, you plan for every contingency, every possibility, because you have loads of intelligence from multiple sources and agencies to work with. But, inevitably, even with all those intel sources, when you execute said plan, unexpected things happen, and you have to make decisions on the fly. A good operation order will even plan for that, though. We were not working on a good operations order. We were flying by the seat of our pants this whole night, operating on guesswork, dumb luck, bad decisions, and excellent aim. We discussed what to do about the additional hostage. Rex said that Strong was a good chap and could help us escape. He actually used the word chap, and I almost left them both in that cage right then. But we got them both out. Strong found a pipe rifle and fought his way down with us. Useful, if unpredictable. Rex recited Macbeth on the elevator, the whole way down. Strong asked me to travel with him afterward, help him find the milk of human kindness. I declined. He told me, Strong no like waiting. I told him I'd manage. Rex said he was heading back to Werver, back to his old station, his radio career, his cultural mission. I genuinely hope he finds what he's looking for, just away from me. Radio DJs are the worst. Past midnight when we entered, and early morning when we got out of that tower. In movies, people fight battles for days without sleep, then go to the bar and get a drink. In reality, moving through a combat scenario on high alert, adrenaline pumping, eyes constantly searching, constantly thinking all night long is exhausting. As we moved through the alleys toward Goodneighbor at a combat pace, I was starting to feel fatigue setting in. Lucky for Nick, he doesn't have to deal with that. I picked up the pace. I was going to need to rest soon. Past Hubris Comics. I used to go there before the bombs. Made a note to go back when I have time. Swan Pond. Moved fast and quiet. No incidents. I'd like to keep it that way permanently. Just past there, we took fire from a raider on scaffolding about 300 meters out. I stopped and drew my pipe rifle with the scope. Drew him out with a round off to the side, then one center mass. Clean shot. Doubt it killed him, but it took the fight out of him long enough for us to get by. Finally, we made it to Goodneighbor. Some local tried to shake us down for insurance at the gate. I told him to back off. He did. Then the mayor, a ghoul named Hancock, walked up to that same man and told him he'd been warned. And then without another word, put a knife in his gut. Twice. He dropped right there. Hancock looked at us, said, "Sorry about that," and welcomed us to Goodneighbor. I think I'm going to like this place. Offloaded supplies at Daisy's discounts. Good stock, fair prices. The whole settlement runs on ghouls. Daisy seemed surprised I didn't flinch. Said it happens a lot with newcomers. I didn't tell her I've had other things on my mind. Stopped at the weapons counter on the way to the hotel. That one was run by a female Assaultron robot. Weird. It, or whatever, had a sniper rifle for sale. I bought it without hesitating. Didn't negotiate. Didn't think twice. It felt like finding an old friend. I've been collecting .308 rounds in hopes of finding one. This one's got good bones. I'll modify it as I can to make her more personable. Hotel Rexford. 10 caps, a bed. Claire at the desk. Not much for conversation. That's fine. All I really wanted was a quiet space and a bed. I told Nick I needed a few hours of sleep. It's barely noon, but has been a very long 30-plus hours. And now it's time to get some rest. I keep coming back to that moment in Piper's office. Her eyes. I know my mind was just reaching through the grief for something familiar. That's all it was. All it was. Sniper rifles on the bed, next to me. Cleaned, oiled, loaded, ready. Later tonight, Dr. Amari, the memory den, Kellogg's memories. A way to the Institute. A way to Shaun. That's what matters. That's the only thing that matters. This is Staff Sergeant Nathaniel Campbell. Out.
Well, that was something. Before I get going, I owe old Rex Goodman an apology. Wherever he is right now, probably a skeleton behind the desk, died mid-monologue to an audience of nobody. Whatever. I owe that man an apology. For years, I thought he made that whole thing up. The radio drama nobody picked up. The actor who was brave enough, or without any kind of sense at all, to walk straight into a super mutant stronghold, alone, to teach them culture. I figured it was exactly what it sounded like. A man with a big personality and an even bigger need to be the center of every story he told. I've known plenty like that. Pompous, self-important. The kind of fella who'd call a super mutant a good chap without a hint of irony. Sound familiar? Apparently, that part of the story, the legend, wasn't an exaggeration either. He really did walk in there. He really was caged with an actual super mutant. And somebody really did fight through that entire tower to get him out. Somebody he didn't know and had never met until that night. We've spent 14 tapes listening to Nate Campbell become something. A soldier who buried a wife under a tree. A leader the Minutemen are quietly rebuilding themselves around, without him even noticing it's happening. A man who walked into a hardware store because somebody said they needed help. And now, apparently, a legend in his own right. Nate Campbell, our Nate, is the man who actually pulled off the impossible story I dismissed as just a tall tale. I honestly don't know what to do with that, sugar. I really don't. Except note it and let it sit there. Because I got a feeling this ain't the last tall tale that'll turn out to have his fingerprints all over it. Now, I'm not going to walk you through this whole tape piece by piece. You heard it, same as me. But I'd be doing a disservice to y'all if I didn't say nothing about that dream. You heard it. You heard him say he dreamt about Piper. You heard him circle around something and pull back before he could say what it was, what we all knowed it to be. So, I'll let you sit with that one yourselves. But sugar, I gotta talk about the Deathclaw in the room, if you will. The one thing Nate said on this tape that is just unforgivable, sadistic even. a side of Nate that is so ugly, so mean and terrible that I may just have to stop this whole project right here and now. Radio DJs are the worst. Excuse me? I've been broadcasting these tapes, your tapes, Nate, in case you forgot, out of the goodness of my heart and a genuine belief that your story matters. And this is the thanks I get? I'm hurt, sugar. Truly hurt. Deeply and forever scarred. Nah, you have to have feelings in order to hurt 'em. That sniper rifle on the bed next to him, though. That was not a small thing. He even gave it a gender. Said he'd make her more personable. Her. That's not nothing, honey. That's a warrior that found a weapon. The weapon. Said it was like finding an old friend. I am really looking forward to hearing how well he can use that rifle. He had said in the past that he was a trained sniper. I'm not sure how you train to be a sniper, other than shoot things from distance, but it's pretty apparent that this man has had some serious combat training in his past. So, I, for one, am excited for her introduction to the wasteland. The courier network's been steady lately. Letters coming in. I read every one. If something on this tape landed with you tonight, write in. The courier network runs in all directions. Tomorrow night, Nate goes to the memory den. Whatever's waiting in Kellogg's memory, I have a feeling it's going to be a lot. Get some rest, my little devils. And remember to keep your boots dry and your belly full. Stay close to the signal. Stay alive. Stay strange. Dusty, out.
Stay close, my vault dweller. Don't roam too far from me. With you I build our paradise beneath the desert sea. Oh my Calvin, you make my heart far away.
This is Garrett Klein, the one-man creative force behind the Dusty Signal podcast and the solo creator for Classic Me Studio. The Dusty Signal is a fan fiction audio drama that's set in the Fallout 4 universe. Fallout and all related properties are owned by Bethesda Game Studios and no copyright infringement is intended. This is and always will be a free, non-commercial production. Created, written, and produced by Garrett Klein for Classic Me Studio. Voices were created using 11 Labs AI voice technology. Original song, Vaulted Heart, was created using 11 Labs music generation software. Sound design from Audio Hero, 11 Labs, and My Imagination. Genuinely thank you for listening, and I hope you're enjoying it.